All right, I am doing an experiment today, doing streaming both from YouTube and Zoom at the same time, and we'll see if it works. And I'll tell you what I have. I have this ball. This is an 8-pound ball. I got it at Five Below. I don't generally endorse buying really cheap, crappy things, but sometimes you got to have them. So this is an 8-pound ball. You could use something lighter, uh, and I also have a mat, and I think that's all I'm going to use. Hey, Catherine. So yeah, I'm double dosing with the Zoom and live stream, but they're two separate things. So we're in the middle of it. Let's start. I just muted you. Let's start uh, breathing. I think this is a better quality video this way. And it's kind of amazing what you can do on a computer these days. So inhale, open, and stretch. Reach up and then release. And let your legs bend, let your knees bend. Inhale, stretch, lift, and open. And exhale, bend your knees. You can go all the way down if you're ready or not. Inhale, lift, reach to the gods, reach to the goddesses. And exhale, reach to the heavens. Come down to earth. Just bend your knees, take it down. Inhale, up to the heavens. Exhale, coming down to earth, grounding yourself. Inhale, getting big and expansive. Exhale, release, bend your knees, soften your spine. Two more. Inhale. So we're not going for our biggest hamstring stretch yet. We're just bending the knees, softening, letting go. Last one. Inhale, lift, and exhale, release, and come down. Roll it up through your spine. And we're going to try something just a little bit more subtle, and that is maybe more somatic, more experiential in your body, but tuning into deeper sensation. And what you're going to do is just stand there. And this is actually from Steve Paxton, who recently died, who was one of the sort of founding creators of contact improvisation. And it's called the small dance or the little dance or something like that. But all you're going to do is just feel into your verticality, feel your feet on the floor, feel what it feels like to stand. And then from there, just take a little tiny, and this is my version of his version, right? So obviously it's going to be different. You're going to take a tiny little lengthening. So it's like a little mini micro stretch inside. You could say it's inside your spine or inside the midline of your body. And you can just stretch your arms just slightly down to the floor and then let that release. So really small. So we're trying to feel into our body so that we have more access to feeling when we're holding tension, right? So one of the things with this micro movement or micro stretching is having much more subtle awareness of what's happening on the inside. So again, just tiny little micro stretch. How small of a little stretch can you feel elongating your length of your body? And then let that go again. So up and down, really easy little stretches, micro stretch, lengthen, micro stretch, release. We're going to work with this micro stretch, and now I'm going off piece, not the same as the Steve Paxton, or with this micro movement. And what I want is just the tiniest shift to one side. So the tiniest shift that you might not even see, and then bring it back to center. And a tiny shift, a weight shift to the other side. So you're kind of bringing your weight over one foot and then coming back and then bringing your weight over the other foot and coming back. Just small, just so small. So a lot of times we have little shifts in our body and we often don't notice them because they're so habitual. So we're doing this to start to feel a little bit more into those things. Taking your weight slightly forward, just tiny shift forward, and then come back to where you feel like center is, and a tiny shift back. So small that it might not be perceptible uh, to the eye. Or maybe it is. It depends on how subtle your awareness is of movement from the inside and from the outside. So playing with that again, just letting your weight shift really slowly forward and backward, but so small that it's almost not a shift at all. So bringing your awareness into sensation in your body. We're just fine tuning our awareness inside our body before we get going on a bigger, more bigly moving, more big movement, more larger movements. Taking it back, shifting your weight slightly back, feeling that. Also, really feeling into your feet, right? So as I'm shifting my weight, I can feel the weight shift into my feet, but I'm also feeling in my body this shift. So we're just taking our awareness deeper into sensation with more subtlety as we feel into these shifts. Learning what's going on, what we're feeling on a body level is going to help us navigate our lives in a more aligned way for ourselves. All right, let's just shake that out, let it go, feeling into bigger movement, shaking, bouncing, relax your neck and jaw, relax your face, and let's open wide and go with the twists, just easy and loose. Feel the centrifugal force going out to your hands, out to the tips of your fingers, and feel the spiral in your spine, in your tissue, in your gut body. Looking all the way behind you. For right now, I'm just keeping myself centered. So I'm really spiraling that midline of my body. And I'm about to change it. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger with the arms, and then I'm going to shift my weight back. So I'm flexing the front foot. I'm going to let my arms kind of go up and down. So there's like more of an up and downness here, a little suspension on top, and a different kind of weight shift. Good. And then coming in, we're going to do a bit of a squat. So I'm just going to reach my arms forward and my butt back. And I'm going to keep my weight a little bit further back. So I'm not keeping my weight on the balls of the foot and going back. I'm taking my weight more to my heels and taking it back and down and up. Reach. And I'm going to use my arms to help balance that out. So I'm balancing with the arms, feeling my quads firing up. If you can't go super deep, fine. No big deal. Go to where you can go. Four more. Just having strength in your legs, leg strength, is going to really help in the aging process, help you keep your balance, help you stay on course with your capacity to move, right? Not losing quality of life because you're not able to move as easily. We're going to take it down to the floor now. I'm just going to keep adjusting the camera, taking it down to the floor, having a sip of coffee before I get all the way down there. If you have a weight, grab your weight so it's nearby. All the way down onto your back. Let yourself settle into the floor. So you've come in for a landing and you are down there. In this position, let's just take a little small wriggle of the spine. As you're wiggling your spine, see if you can free up your pelvis, rib cage, and cranium. So these three big bony structures that are supporting our organs and our body are moving with sort of differentiated relationships. So it's not just staying in one pattern, but we have a little freedom. Maybe some ripples and some waves in there. And see where you're driving that movement from. Like I can say that for me, I'm really moving my pelvis and then it's rippling up. But I could try just moving my ribs, that my ribs are then the driver of the movement initiating in my ribs. Or it could be my head. And so for if I move my head, I think we're very used to moving our head and stabilizing our bodies. Try to move your head and also free up your spine, free up your rib cage and pelvis so that the head movement makes its way down to your pelvis. Just feeling into that. So we're freeing up energy and movement potential within our bodies, within our gut body, within our muscular body, within our skeleton, all the things. And as we're doing that, we're letting like the little cushy marshmallowy discs readjust how they're relating in our spine. So we want to have some freedom in there so they're not just getting squished in one direction all the time, right? Where we get a bulging disc. We're giving this movement so that the fibrous material of our discs can readjust. And put that image in your mind. Also, the image that you are creating space in your spinal cord so that from your head down to your tail, so inside your nervous system, inside and then down through your spinal cord, there's spaciousness. So, one thing that happens as we age sometimes is that starts to get more calcified inside there and squeeze our nervous system. It's called, what is it? Oh, I just wrote stenosis, spinal stenosis. And that is not a comfortable thing to have. So we want to yet let this movement sort of break off any kind of calcification that's happening in there. Break off. That sounds kind of bad, but let our bodies reabsorb. So we're not getting rigid and immobile, but we're moving this stuff around and letting our system reabsorb anything that is starting to get sticky. Through movement, we're awakening up the system. All right. That's kind of deep, right? We're kind of like working at a deeper level today. Let's take our feet on the floor and lift our pelvis up, just going up and down. I'm going to do a different version with the arms. So I'm going to inhale down and then exhale, pressing up. Inhale, feeling your arms elongate over your body, and then exhale, push up. Inhale down, exhale, press. Inhale down. I feel like for us as seated people, people who are sitting too much, this exercise of just opening the front of the hip flexors, working the back body is maybe one of the most important ones to do. So if you're sitting a lot, get your butt and hamstrings and back working in this way. Get down on the floor every once in a while. Just press up, opening the front of the hip flexors, opening the front of the gut body, working the back body, working your extensors, your hamstrings, your glutes, and pressing up. Good. Let's change it. You're going to press up and then circle with your hips. Let this circle be kind of free flow, free form circle. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your one hip can be higher and then another. So we're getting a little bit more movement in the layers, the strata of our abdominals. So there's a deep, deep layer, which is like your transversus abdominis, acts kind of like a corset, sort of wrapping around. And then there's the internal and external obliques and the rectus abdominis, the six pack. Change direction if you haven't changed direction. So as we're moving our body, we want to let those layers of muscles have some slidey glidiness against each other so they're not getting gummed up. And then come into center, roll it down, take your legs up. Back should be really warm now. So now would be a good time to start thinking about releasing those hamstrings and getting a bit more of a stretch. But we're going to do it gently with a happy baby pose to start. Let yourself be playful in your baby. My hamstrings actually are, I took a pole class on Friday and we did a lot of stuff, a lot of hangs. I don't know, stuff like my hamstrings were working. So I'm feeling it. They're kind of like, they've done the thing now. I'm going to roll back and forth, rounding through my spine. If you have any kind of flat spots here in your back, think of hollowing in towards them so you're creating a really rounded, curled rolling surface. And if this hurts and you need more padding, get more padding. If you want to take it into a plow, go for it. But you don't have to. You could also like give yourself a little bit of a forward fold. So sometimes we do the standing up. Let's just stay on the floor, taking it back into some kind of a plow for a breath or two, and then forward and stretch your legs out and take it into a gentle forward fold. So we're massaging out the back line of the body, and then we're including that stretch. Up to you if you want to do it like that. You may just want to roll, and if rolling forward and backward hurts, just roll side to side instead. So when we're rolling across our body like this, we are massaging out that tissue. And there's big sort of swarthy bands of connective tissue coming from our sacrum up our back, right? And like much like our IT band, we've got these big areas. And when we and they don't get as much fluidity, like they're not as juicy as like a muscle, which is full of blood flow and juiciness. They're much more sort of bandy. And so we want the movement of our body in this relationship where we're having this weightedness of our body onto the floor to give them some pliancy and some hydration also. So movement hydrates tissue. Let's go from side to side. Rolling out to one side. And let's try to do this with a one side versus the other. So my elbow and knee are going together until I roll onto my back, and then the other elbow and knee close. I'm melting into the floor, opening, 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 very relaxed in my head and neck, and closing, 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 closing. Opening, 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 opening. Feet can be relaxed, hands relaxed. One more time like that. Like a little bug rolling from side to side as they do. Open it up. Bugs, I don't know. I don't know bugs that roll from side to side. Maybe if they're trying to get off their back. Open, open, radiate outward, and then fold it back in. Open it up. Fold it in. Massaging through your back as you're opening and closing. Let your head and neck release. And then let's come onto our back and stay there, arms and legs out, circles with the ankles and wrists. And go the other way, letting the bustles, the muscles of your hands and feet really circle around. And then fold it in. And let's get a little bit more active. So I'm going to grab my ball and holding it in my hands. My knees are together, my feet are slightly turned in. I'm going to circle around my body with the ball. Inhaling, arms over my head, exhale up. And I'm really trying to make a round circle around my body with my arms. So I'm orbiting, cycling with that ball around my body. Ideally, that's going to improve the integrity of my rotator cuff. I'm working my abs in a very three-dimensional way, right? Because I've got my side-sideness and forward-backwardness and up-down. I change direction. If you haven't changed direction, change direction. But if this is hurting and really painful in some area, make it smaller. Whenever, or take the weight out. Listen to your body. Two more. Good. And then come in. You can get rid of your weight. And we're going to do some twisting. Arms out to the side. Feet up off the floor. Spiral. You can take your time, giving yourself a second to land in the spiral before you get going again, or stay in the stretch if you need to. And if you want to make this more challenging, you can straighten your legs out. And if you don't quite have access to doing it with your legs straight, but you still want to make it more challenging, you can bend your knees and then stretch out, maybe not going as far, but this is also going to do something, right? Slightly different version. Actually, I can feel it is a really different version of what it's pulling on in my obliques when I do it this way. So all of these are great. It's great to do a variety of things, not just one trick pony, but multiple ways of getting to Rome. I don't know why that's my analogy for the day. There are many all roads lead to Rome. That's why. So if we just keep trying different things, eventually we're going to get to Rome. Good. And come in. That's because the Romans built a lot of roads. All right. Let's take it in so that they could, so that their military would have something to walk on to go to the next place that they were conquering, right? Maybe that's why it was. I'm gonna guess. Yes. Circles. It might be the other way around, that they had already conquered and then they were building roads so that they could get back, so that they could move, they could get their supply chains moving. Circles, big circles. Why did people need big roads going from here to there? Commerce, trade, but probably more supply chains for the military. Change direction. big or small. These do not have to be super big. They can also be small, but try to really elongate your legs. Reach through your heels. Feel your toes reaching, feel your heels reaching. Last one. And then open your feet wide. Internally rotate one leg and then the other. Reach up, find that diagonal, crossing your body. Same thing on the other side. Take your hand and put it on your ribs where you can feel your ribs are connecting. Kind of pop an arch and then hollow it in this position. So you're going to pop it out, let your rib cage and spine arch, and then connect it. Arch, tiny little curl. Inhale, arch. Exhale, curl. Take it to the other side. Same thing. Hands on this bottom part of your ribs. So in this section of your ribs, your deepest layer, your transversus abdominis, is connecting in under at the inside, the bottom of your ribs. And I think it's interdigitating finger to finger, kind of like a serrated way of going in, but interdigitated with your diaphragm, the connection inside to the inner part of your lungs. So when we're doing the stretch, we're moving all of that tissue. Your internal and external obliques are also connected in there, but more sort of on the edge. Like one's going to be more in and one's going to be more out, internal, external, right? So as we're doing this, arching and then slight curl, not a super duper curl, but just a little bit. We're moving that tissue, moving this relationship of our rib cage, lungs, diaphragm, heart, and the muscle fibers that are coming in, connecting in there. Come back into center, pick up your butt, shake it out, let your spine realign itself. Let's stretch the legs out, flex your feet, take a little heel rock, dig your heels into the floor. So that interdigitated thing of the diaphragm and the transversus abdominis, if this means nothing to you, don't even bother listening to me. But if you are an anatomy nerd, I learned this from Gil Headley watching one of his talks. He's an anatomist. He's an amazing anatomy teacher who I have studied with. Hallelujah. And I'm not sure if it was the one with Leslie Kaminoff or something, who I've also studied with, but he showed it, and it's like, oh, that's so interesting. And it's such a great word, interdigitation. Here are digits. Remember the gorilla named Digit who was learning how to talk with their hands? So interdigitation, our fingers are like doing that. All right. Let's take our arms up overhead, flex your feet. If your back hurts, you're going to bend your knees here. If your back is feeling good, you're going to come up like a zombie, waking up. Maybe it's more like a vampire. Rolling it up, rolling it up, rolling it up. Reach it forward, scoop out and up, elongate, lift. Have a moment of revelation, see the light, come back into vertical, roll it down through your spine, arms over your head. Waking up. Diving forward, reaching out, scoop, lift, arch, open, see the light, come into vertical and roll it down. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale. Inhale, scoop, arch, exhale. Take it down. Inhale. Exhale, diving forward. Scoop it out. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Lift, arch, open. Come into vertical. Hollow curl. Roll it down. Inhale, get long, upper and lower, elongating. Just stretch one side longer and then stretch the other side. Reach it out, reach it out, reach it out. Good. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Feel again into that relationship of head, cranium, rib cage, lungs, pelvic bowl, internal organs, reproductive organs, and let them all move so that there's a little more freedom in their relationship, a little less gripping in the central channel or in the central anatomy. And then we're going to roll from side to side. We'll just roll to one side. You're going to bend your knees. You're going to push the floor away and come up. Then head, going to drop toward the floor. Arms are going to support you. You're going to roll to the other side. Head is the last thing. It kind of drips down, and then head initiates to go back down. Arms support the ride, going to one side and coming up. and coming back down to the floor, rolling over. If you're like a diehard person and you want to not do this with no arms, you can. Just don't crash your head on the floor, right? We can use our body melting, rolling, or use your arms. It really doesn't matter. Work with what works for you today. My mom was telling me that she had she's in her early 80s, and she was telling me that she had a meeting with a bunch of her nursing students who went, all her colleagues who went to the same school together. And she was saying that one of them was talking about one of the classes they were taking about movement, and it was how to fall. So I'm going to tell you what they learned in the falling class. If you're falling forward, bend your knees, bend your arms, curl in, protect your head, right? You don't want to fall like this so much as like this, because that's going to give you more support. If you're falling backwards, bend your knees, curl forward, protect your head. So that's the thing to think about. And I feel like it's good to think about this and even to practice it. Like, oh my God, I'm falling forwards. Oh, right? You can practice it on your bed. They do practice this, but I think they practice it like maybe there's mats or something like that. I don't know. But think about it, because most people, once they fall and they break a hip or a wrist or something like that when they're older, it's hard to fully recover from that. And usually that's sort of the slippery slope downward. It doesn't have to be. People can like get back into exercising and do things. So it's not like, oh, that's the end of the line, it's all over. But it is often that way for people who don't move as much. Let's take it down, forearm plank. There, get that practice. Pushing forward and backward. Head forward, heels back, hovering along the horizon line. Come into center. Let's go one knee then the other in parallel, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Twisting underneath. 1. Oh, that was a lot. 2. We're just going to do 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take your knee underneath. Open it up into a side plank. Come back. Take your knee underneath. Side plank. Radiate outward. Bring it back in. Knee underneath. Side plank. Unfurl. Take it down. Knee underneath. Side plank. Feel what that's doing around here. Take it down. Knee. Adjust. Different relationships to gravity. Knee. Open. Great for the tissue in our body. Open it up. Great for our brain. Open it up. Last one. And take it down. All the way down to the floor. Bend your knees. Let's go with circles. Yeah, we want to move in diverse environments in diverse ways. Diverse relationships to gravity. We got to change things up. Change direction. Inviting novelty into our experience. Inviting novelty into our lives. And then come in, curl your toes under, drop your head down, push up and down. Feel that relationship again of your cranium to your ribs to your pelvis, right? With this core distal thing, like I'm pushing from my feet. That is the distal edge of my body, all the way up to my head. And then let that release. And take your hands next to your chest, baby cobra. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Baby cobra, lift the legs, radiate out into an X, bring it back in, come down. Upper body, lower body, expand, bring it in, come down. Upper body, lower body, radiate out, bring it in, release. Upper body, lower body, reach it out, bring it in, come down. Upper, lower, reach, in, and down. Last one. Upper, lower, radiate out, reach. Inhale all the way up. Let's take it back to a child's pose for a second. Just melt, relax in your child's pose. Breathe, you can wiggle around, free up your neck, free up your spine. Again, feel how the movement is relating from your head to your ribs to your pelvis. This can be the prompt for the day. What's going on in my pelvis? How does that relate to my ribs? How does that relate to my cranium? How are they moving? Is there a rhythm? And meaning, like, is there a connected rhythm? Is there some flow between the upper and the lower? Is there some capacity for movement? Let's come back to our bellies. We're going to do a little cobra circle. It doesn't have to be big. So head is facing the floor, ear towards your shoulder, coming up, other shoulder, take it down. And then go the other way. So like 3 or 4 in each direction. Again, giving those little discs between your vertebrae some capacity to move and adjust. Relax it, just shift from side to side, relax your butt, let your legs really fall. Imagine you have a big swishy tail swishing around in the back. And think of that like really letting your tail wag. So it's not just this like uh, unconsidered part of your body, but there's this big bushy tail swinging around behind you. And then come in. Let's do tricep push-ups. So I'm going to start here, hands next to my chest, leaving my knees on the floor, up and down, going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can take your knees off the floor if you're stronger. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Curl your toes under, take it into a downward dog. Bend one knee, bend the other. Look under your armpit. Reach your tail to the ceiling and wag your tail. Can you wag that big bushy foxtail up at the top? Maybe it's not a foxtail. Maybe it's an Afghan hound. I used to love those dogs, Afghan hounds, the way they looked. Long, sleek, with their long hair. Okay, we're going to take it onto our sides. Just doing a time check. Uh-oh. I see something weird just happened. Oh no, it's fine. Okay. Take it onto your side. Weird things are happening all the time. We just have to not get too freaked out about it. Let's go up, flex, and point down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. 9, 10. Come in, lift your legs up, internally rotate, externally rotate. Turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out. Good. Relax. I feel my feet cramping. This probably means, in my case, that I should have drank more water this morning. If I have too much coffee, not enough water, my body is more likely to cramp. Let's come in, knees bent, like you're sitting in a chair. So there's a right angle here, right angle there. You're going to lift your knee in towards you, up, lengthen all the way down, turn it in. So it's like your knee is making kind of a circle. To me, it feels like a circle, but maybe it's more of an ellipse. Try to get your leg at least straight down below you, maybe a little bit behind you here. So not when you're turned out so much, but as you start to turn in, reach it back. I'm super not counting, but I think we have about 3 more to do. And we'll have hit somewhere between 8 and 10. Good. Bring it in. Just bang out. Front of your hip flexor, maybe your IT band, greater toe canter, whatever you need to give a bang to. That's going to affect the tissue, right? Giving it like a little impulse to release if it's holding. do we want to change direction? I don't think we're going to change direction on that. I think we're going to change exercises. So coming up onto your elbow, feet are tucked under your butt. They're not tucked under your butt. They're straight down below you. So you're not in that right angle anymore. You're going to press up and lower down, going 1, 2, push the floor away, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And swing your legs around to the other side. We're going to start the whole thing on the other side. Big kicks. Flex up, point down. Going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lifting your legs off the floor. Internal rotation, external rotation. Turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out, turn it in, turn it out. We're not going to do a whole lot of those. I feel like somewhere between 4 and 6 is really the right amount. Like, because that's a lot of work that most people are very rarely doing. So we don't want to like bang it in there. We just want to get it moving. All right, both knees bent. Knee up, reach it down, in and down and back. I am counting this time. 3, 4, 5, and I really feel like 6 to 10 of these. 6, we're gonna do 8, 7. No, we're gonna do 10 because we're not going the other way. 8, 9, 10. Bring it in, give it a hit. You're not trying to hurt yourself, right? You're trying to release the muscles. Give, like, when you hit, it's like you're sending a ripple of energy through your body, or a ripple of movement, so that there's like a wave of movement that gives the layers a chance to release and also hydrate. All right, coming up onto your elbow. I just feel like if kids were taught anatomy, fascia, organs, how it works, bones, how they relate, and then sort of how our bodies are a little bit with our nervous system, how we upregulate and downregulate, we would live in a very different world, right? A lot of people are really attracted to upregulation. Like, that's exciting. Oh, they got a lot of power. But sometimes it's really it really lacks integration. Sometimes it's really integrated. Up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. And come down. Let's go from side to side. Knees are bent. You're just going to roll over one butt cheek and then the other. Breathing into it. Breathing out of it. Breathing through it. Take your time. Stay present in your experience. Be kind to yourself and your body as you are experiencing this, right? Let the inner critic who might be saying, oh, this should be like this, and that should be like that. Maybe have a moment of just setting them over there in the chair. The cat can sit on their lap. They don't need to be alone, but the inner critic can go and like hang out with the cat. If you have a judgy part of yourself, send them over there. It's a rocking chair and a cat. You just go right over there and have a good time with that cat. I think we tend to undermine ourselves a lot. So if you're doing that to yourself, stop it, be kind, and then don't beat yourself up for doing it, right? Oh, that's what I do. I'm terrible. Nope, that's what we all do to a certain degree, and we want to be kind to ourselves. Let go of that. Opposite arm to leg. Out, we're going to take it on the diagonal, bring it back in, and lower down. Up, diagonal, into line, and down. Up, reach it out, bring it in. Long legs, long arms, reaching away from center. And when I say that, what I really mean is elongate your legs, elongate your arms. One more time each side. And relax. Take it down into a child's pose. Interlace your hands up over your head. Take a deep breath in and then just relax. Breathe as much out as you can. Couple of big deep breaths. See if you can feel your whole body growing on the inhale, expanding away from center, and then shrinking into itself on the exhale. Then you're going to roll up onto the crown of your head, just rounding your spine. Here we have an upper versus lower pattern, right? Again, we can feel the relationship of our cranium to our ribs to our pelvis. Like they're all moving, elongating and curling. Last one. And then we'll just do this coming up. You're going to curl your toes under, take your hands down to the floor, push up onto your knees, take your tail to the ceiling, bend your knees, take your knees to the floor, feet down, and press up. Take it down. Curl your toes under, heels down, butt up, fold it down. Support yourself. If you have knee issues and you can't do this, don't do it. Or make it like so you're not bending as much. Like it could be like this and like this and like that. Like really work in a way that feels okay to you. Again, we're working that back line of the body, right? Tom Myers, who's an anatomist and a fascia person, calls them anatomy trains, like the the line and the front line and the deep front line, like all these different lines. But there isn't something in your body called a train of fascia. It's just a way of looking. It's a concept of looking at it. But with this, we are working with that idea of like opening up the whole train, front body and back body. Right here, this is opening. If I come up, curl my toes under, reach for my heels into a camel, it's a whole front line except for down there at my foot. If I go to here, there really is the whole front line, right? So we're thinking of this wholeness pattern of our body working in different ways. All right, let's do a hip stretch and that'll be it. I'm going to do ankle to knee. It's always a challenge for me. So you could do this with one foot out in front. This might be fine. You could do it laying on your back, just drawing your ankle over your knee, or you can do the double fold. Oh, the humbling ankle to knee pose. In a perfect world, one is laying right on top of the other. Like this is the ankle, knee, and they're like right there. But that's not my world. And you know what? I'm okay with that. This is where I get to feel it and relax into it. We all have different challenges inside of our bodies, like different flexibility areas and levels and things that we're working with. Breathe. Feel what it feels like to be in the stretch. And then release and unscramble. Give yourself a little bang so the tissue gets to soften up and realign itself and change it to the other side. You can take it down here or fold under, whatever you want to do. Breathe into it. Surrender. Let go. Or just be where you are. That's also fine. It could be letting go isn't like the muscles all suddenly releasing. It's letting go of your need to force your body into something. Just let it be where it is and soften into that. Everything is always going to be changing no matter what. So we don't need to force it. We can just let it happen. Feel your body breathing. Good. And unscramble, legs out, give them a bang. Rotate in and out. Really getting the calves. You can give them a little hit too. Up the outside, inside. Freeing up the layers of those muscle, the layers of the actual muscles. The one layer is on top of another, gastroc, popliteal, soleus, all those muscles in there. Let them all have a glidey, slidey relationship to each other. So they're not gummed up and pulling on each other. And then take your butt to the ceiling, let your head hang down. You're going to open your feet wide, shift from one side to the other. If you are more diehard, you're going to open wide and take it down, and then come up and take it to the other side. Right? You can do this with your hands on the floor, hands on your leg, or don't go so far. But as I said before, I'm just trying to work a little bit more of my leg strength these days. And I know that for aging bodies, that is super important. But don't hurt yourself. Just do it in a way that feels okay for you. And come in, let your head hang down, shake it no, nod yes. And then bend your knees, roll it all the way up to the top. We're going to inhale, open up. Let's exhale, circle the arms out like a flamenco dancer. Change direction to go up, circling the other way. Just keep breathing. It doesn't have to be like I'm going slower than one inhale, one exhale. Open them out and down. If you spend a lot of time on a computer or a phone, opening out and circling is a great way to get that tissue moving more three-dimensionally and bring some life energy back into your body. Open your feet wide, just quick side. Breathing. Feeling your heartbeat, feeling your pulse. Good, shake it out. All right, that is it for today. TV Land, I will see you again, maybe Thursday, same time, 9 a.m. Eastern, same place on the YouTubes. And people in my